Hello everyone, it's been a long time since my last video. Thank you for all your sincere comments. They meant a lot to me. I'm much better now, and yes, I missed you all. So I was thinking, what should I review first? But lately I've purchased 5 Chanel minis, and since I own 2 full bottles and 1 decant, I thought that making a buying guide for 8 perfumes in less exclusive Chanel collection would be a good start. And this collection is based on different sides and elements from the life of Gabrielle Chanel. So before the review of each perfume, I'll tell you a bit more about its inspiration. And I know Gabrielle Chanel wasn't an angel. There's more than just a few things she did I strongly disagree with, but this isn't the focus of this video. Here we are going to talk about Chanel fragrances. I'll review and rate each one, and in the end, there will be a ranking as well, and I'll tell you my favorites. My name is Miri, and here we talk in depth about fragrances. And the first one on that list is Beige. So when you look at Coco Chanel's creations, it's evident she loved neutral and muted colors like black, white, and beige. She once said that she takes refuge in beige because it's natural. Jacques Polch tried to capture that simplistic, natural, soothing, and seemingly muted character of beige color in this perfume. And when I first looked at the notes, I thought this perfume will be so sweet because of the honey, but thankfully it's not. How it smells. At the first spray, or here drop, the scent of pollen is more emphasized than the delicate texture of flower petals. So you get some sweetness, but not the gourmand type of sweetness. And that's why initially the scent is a bit heavy, dense, and almost dusty in texture, and it smells yellow. It has a powdery edge and perfumey quality most Chanel fragrances have, but next to that sweetened dense pollen, I also get animalic, powdery, almondy nuances of hawthorn, some white florals, and something crisp, green, and slightly bitter in the background. So imagine smelling flowers so close that all the sweet powdery pollen is now sprinkled on your nose while you still smell white florals and bitter hints of green from its stems in the back. This is how the top smells to me. As the scent develops, the prominent scent of yellow pollen from the top moves to the background, making room for aquatic, green, soapy florals to shine. And to my surprise, I get more prominent freesia rather than frangipani or honey. So to me, this isn't a tropical fragrance at all. Also, the overall combination of clean florals with bits of green kind of evokes an image of really fancy soap or fabric softener. As I said before, in beige, I don't get a lot of honey. The sweetness in the dry down becomes kind of dusty and powdery, like the sweetness of a makeup foundation. So the dry down smells to me like a walk on the meadow with blooming freesias while you're wearing a nice makeup and a beige linen dress smelling of a soapy fabric softener. The scent transforms from the dense, sweetened pollen-like scent at the top to the soft, clean, soapy, musky florals in the dry down that feel almost transparent, like flowers drawn on an impressionist canvas. And yes, I enjoy this a lot. You can wear beige in almost every daytime occasion and every season except in winter. It feels dressy, refined, prim, clean, and chic. So I do think this would be a very nice fragrance for the office as well. Is this a bold, unique fragrance that will instantly wow you? Well, no, it's not. The name truly fits this fragrance. For some, beige might be too dull or seemingly stuffy, boring color, but others will enjoy its polished, effortless, and graceful elegance. To sum it up, this is a very pleasant perfume lasting 6 hours on my skin with moderate projection and sillage. So I would rate Beige Beige with 8 out of 10, but I do think it's a bit too pricey for what it is. It's one of the least provocative Chanel fragrances, but it's so pleasant and just so effortlessly pretty nonetheless. We move up to Boy. It's named after a British polo player and businessman, Arthur Capel, whose nickname was Boy. Gabrielle and Capel had a 9-year-long relationship until he died in a car accident in 1919 when he was just in his 30s. He's the reason why Chanel became a fashion icon. When they met, she was just a cabaret singer, but he believed in her and he encouraged her to follow her dreams. He bought her a boutique as a gift, and also he inspired her to tailor men's trousers for women, which ultimately became a huge hit. That's why when creating this fragrance, Olivia Poulch wanted to give a feminine twist to traditionally masculine fougere structure. And what is the result? In the opening, you get a typical Chanel's sparkling aldehydic citrusy blast spiced with an aromatic lavender. And geranium gives this cool, minty, kind of mossy freshness to the lavender. However, everything is done in soft pastel-like strokes because underneath that very clean, aromatic, minty green lavender fougere top, there is a creamy, powdery undertone. It smells like lavender in a powdery, citrusy haze. It's fresh and masculine, but also soft and smooth fragrance. As Boy dries down, citruses dissipate, and that initially very prominent lavender smoothly fades away as well, allowing other notes to become more noticeable. Other notes such as aromatic, minty geranium with some earthy quality. There are also soft, musky florals, this powdery, creamy heliotrope, and woody vanilla, especially in the dry down. The more Boy dries down, it becomes sweeter and woodier, and also powderiness becomes much more tactile, like you can touch its denseness and thickness. And that duality between aromatic, masculine scent and the soft, loose powder-like feminine side blends so well, creating such an effortless, clean, pillowy structure with a nostalgic vibe. Boy truly transcends gender, and Olivier Poulch managed to create a fragrance of a woman wearing her boyfriend's or husband's shirt after showering. As you can see, I've used this decant quite a bit, and Boy changes its scent depending on the weather. When it's colder on my skin, that talc-like powdery side becomes much more prominent, while during the hot days, aromatic, refreshing scent lingers in the air. So the opening is more masculine, while the dry down is more feminine. Overall, this is a unisex fragrance, so as a woman, I feel comfortable wearing it. It's versatile, it's easy to wear, so this could be a signature scent as well. On my skin, it lasts up to 6.5 hours, but sillage is quiet. And that's why my rating for Chanel's Boy is 8 out of 10. I really like it, but I don't recommend blind buying it. It's expensive, although it perfectly balances retro with modern, elegant and casual, fresh and powdery, masculine and feminine. My first, less exclusive purchase was Coromandel, inspired by Coromandel screens adorned with Asian flowers that lined the walls of Coco Chanel's apartment at 31 Rue Cambon in Paris. And since they incorporate dark, massive hardwood with intricate golden details, it is to be expected that the perfume itself will reflect the same contrast between woody, dark, ambery notes and delicate softness at the same time. So from the first spray, that is completely true. I instantly recognize patchouli with almost menthol-like aroma because of the citruses. It's not completely minty, but it has sour, cool, raspy and mossy feel. And there are bits of aldehydes in the opening as well, giving a sparkling, tingling, elegant sensation. But to be completely honest, I can also smell something slightly dirty, stale and moldy, like you're in an attic or in the antique shop. However, it's not off-putting because it's combined with sparkling citruses and this creamy sweetness in the background. So the scent kind of urges me to smell it over and over and over again. Imagine you're in an old antique shop with damp wooden furniture, flipping through an old musty magazine while the owner of the shop sips a sweetened lemonade. Even though I shouldn't like this because it's kind of damp and moldy, like I can't stop smelling it. And after about an hour, the scent will get warmer, sweeter, creamier and more golden, but it still remains a patchouli bomb. And that moldy, stale scent now becomes a bit earthier, more ambery, smokier, and sweeter with bits of florals. Orris root gives it a touch of refined powderiness, and I definitely get chocolate. Not as the scent of real gourmand chocolate, but rather in a non-dessert-like way. Its sweetness gives a velvety, rich warmth which balances out this damp mold earthiness. It smells like you're still in that antique shop, but now you're eating white chocolate while looking at damp, aged wooden furniture around you with traces of the lemonade in the air. And even though this is one of the best smelling patchouli fragrances I've ever tried, I don't think it's for every day. Coromandel smells like the most compelling, the most elegant, sweet and earthy chocolatey perfume ever, while on other days that moldy attic or wet soil side gets much stronger. This is the reason why I don't wear it all the time. It's more for autumn and winter, and it's best for formal occasions when you want to smell refined and confident. On my skin it lasts up to 7 or 8 hours with moderate sillage, so it won't choke people around you, but it will leave a beautiful trail wherever you pass by. However, this isn't a fragrance for everyone, so don't blind buy it. If I was in my early 20s, I would think, oh yes, this is pretty, but not me. I would probably think it's too vintage smelling. Now it has such a comforting, elegant, nostalgic, smooth, grown-up scent, and it just makes me feel composed, poised, and self-assured. The way it was crafted is really something to applaud to. That's why my rating for Coromandel, which is a love for me, is 9.5 out of 10. In this journey through Chanel's less exclusive collection, we find out that Gabrielle Chanel loved white florals, especially camellias, but since they don't have a scent, in 1925 Coco Chanel chose Gardenia as a flower similar to camellia and created a fragrance with the same name. Today's Gardenia isn't the same perfume Coco Chanel created, but it's continuing its legacy. From the start, this is mainly a white floral fragrance, but you can also smell some bitter, earthy, botanical greenness at the back with slight fruity, citrusy touches. And that crisp green lushness gives some sharp freshness to the flowers, but it's not overpowering. Together with bits of fruitiness I mentioned, it smells to me like green apples or like grapes. At the same time, those green accentuated flowers are enveloped in a sweet, creamy pastel-like tone. So to me, the opening smells like eating slices of green apples while admiring uplifting freshness from dew sparkling on wide gardenia petals, leaves, and stems. The contrast between that heady, creamy white florals and green apple-like aroma is so enjoyable. And then as gardenia dries down, it becomes less green. The scent begins to sweeten up with more apparent creaminess and fruitiness. White flowers, especially tuberose, which I detect much more, don't smell indolic here, or to say it openly, urine-like, because some other white floral fragrances can have this unpleasant tone. Gardenia, which smells creamy sweet with green undertones, really shines here together with tuberose, so you won't get a prominent tropical coconut. It just gives this creamy texture to the scent, and also you won't get a dominant gourmand vanilla because it just slightly sweetens the scent. And at the base there is also a touch of soapy, kind of salty muskiness, balancing the scent and preventing it from ever becoming too sweet. To me, Gardenia smells like bridal bouquet of fresh gardenias prepared for the summer outdoor wedding. This is such a lovely, creamy, white floral perfume with a fresh feel, and it's truly beautiful. It smells like weddings because it has this polite, delicate, joyful, but unoffensive vibe. And precisely because it's so pleasing, so unpretentious, it's not a perfume that brings something new to the table. It's likable and safe in the best way possible. This is something that's suitable for most occasions. It's easy to like, it's easy to understand, but the only downside is the performance. On my skin, it lasts about 4 hours tops, and it's very, very soft. After an hour, it becomes a skin scent, although I have to admit that the lasting power is a bit better on clothes. I love how charming and lovely Gardenia is, but because of the performance, my overall rating for it is just 7.5 out of 10. If you don't mind the price tag and the fact that you will need to reapply this perfume during the day, this is something so effortlessly feminine and pretty to wear. Next up is Sycomore, named after sycamore trees, which roots can reach down even into lava. As Chanel website explains, this perfume recalls Gabrielle Chanel's own roots and her childhood amongst the centuries-old volcanoes in Auvergne. In 1930, Gabrielle created a perfume with this name, and the current reformulation emphasizes smoky, earthy, woody vetiver, recounting the volcano heat radiating from the earth. That's why from the start to finish, this perfume is a vetiver bomb, giving smoky, woody, earthy, soil-like depth, but at the top, vetiver is refreshed with some spiciness and grapefruit-like bitterness coming from cypress and juniper. It smells piney green and very woody, reminding me of the scent of cypress tree bark. So the opening of Sycomore smells to me like grapefruit peels, pine needles, and tree bark, but in a very classy Chanel way. The scent is raw, dry, earthy, aromatic green, but also polished and impeccably balanced at the same time. In the dry down, the scent isn't so piney, grapefruity green as it was in the opening. It gets smokier, spicier, and woodier, giving a smoky campfire, pine logs burning in the woods type of feel, but the scent remains incredibly smooth with tiny amounts of dusty sweetness from violet and vanilla, softening that outdoorsy green woody sensation, and in the end, only traces of fresh, musky, lemony grass and earthy wood are left on my skin. So Sycomore definitely turns cooler, woodier, like the scent of a nearby brook tinkling over the rocks in the damp woods on a cold autumn day. It's not a photorealistic scent, but it gives that natural, outdoorsy feel of the grass, trees, and cool weather biting at your skin. This could be unisex fragrance only if you're into niche fragrances, but if you're a woman who prefers traditionally feminine scents, then this one will be too masculine for you. And I have to admit that this is one of the most likable, the most enjoyable vetiver fragrances I've tried. Yes, it's dry and woody, but with a dash of cool green tones. And I agree with one comment on Fragrantica which said that Sycomore is the scent of James Bond, and I absolutely can envision James Bond wearing Sycomore to one of a formal black tie events. The lasting power is about 7 to 8 hours, although it's not a loud or bold scent. However, I think this is a great offering for men, and I would rate it with 8.5 out of 10. 1957, a perfume which hides many important dates for Mademoiselle Chanel. That's the year when Gabrielle Chanel received the Neiman Marcus Award for her talent and work in the field of fashion. Also, that's the day of her birthday because she was born on the 19th of August, while 57 is the address of the biggest Chanel store in the United States in New York. Since Gabrielle loved pearls, Olivier Polge used 8 different types of musk to recreate the changing reflections and contours of white iridescent pearls and the way they emit a more or less pronounced light. In the opening, 1957 features soft white musk similar to fuzzy white blanket, but that softness is enriched with clean, sparkling freshness from the aldehydes, pink pepper, bergamot, and orange blossom. And there is also this soapy aroma most Chanel fragrances have. And that fizzy, crisp, sparkling, citric, soapy opening instantly lifts you up, and it gives certain airiness and lightness to the cushiony musk. So the top notes smell like fluffy clouds and like an airy breeze carrying the scent of lime trees and the smell of fresh bar of soap. It's a crispy, clean, bright, ethereal, and very balanced fragrance. And as it dries down, coriander and pink pepper melt away. Citric notes also become more muted, while powdery and cushion-like character of white musk and cashmere become more prominent, with slight floral touches giving this incredibly fluffy texture. In the dry down, powdery orris and woody cedar appear as well, giving more dimension to the scent, while honey adds just a bit of sweetness, cocooning and softening soapy and woody tones. That's why I wouldn't say this is just a soapy or clean laundry type of musk perfume. Yes, it's clean, neat and crisp, but it has this wispy, soft, fabric-like texture as well. It smells like soapy, clean, white puff of cotton, wood-infused white feathers, and powdery sweet body lotion on a clean skin. I loved one comment from the user Nicolcas on Fragrantica, which perfectly describes the cinematic feel of 1957 dry down. It said that 1957 is embodiment of the scene in The Great Gatsby where we first meet Daisy Buchanan. She's in a luxurious room with chandeliers, open French doors, white curtains billowing gently in the breeze as sunlight floods in, and she plays with the pearls. 1957 smells like that. It smells timeless and discreet. It has this quiet luxury type of feel, and it's best for daytime. Also, it could be worn anytime, anywhere, because it's likable, it's uncomplicated and easy to wear. But it's a skin scent with intimate sillage. Although it has a good longevity, it lasts up to 7 or 8 hours on my skin. That's why I would rate it with 8 out of 10. It's lovely in its subtlety, it's unpretentious with restrained elegance, and it truly fits a theme of trying to capture iridescent, opaque, pristine white pearls. The inspiration for Le Lion was Gabrielle Chanel's astrological sign, but also another reason why lion became her emblem was her trip to Venice, and guardian sign of Venice is lion. So Gabrielle adorned the buttons of her suits, the clasps of her bags, and jewelry with its symbol. Also, she collected lion figurines, so her apartment at 31 Rue Cambon was filled with them. That's why Le Lion will be amber colored, animalic leathery fragrance. The notes I would normally never connect with the classy house of Chanel. So how it smells. You get a blast of citruses in a Chanel aldehydic sparkling way, but these fresh, energizing, sparkling citruses sit on top of powdery amber and smoky, leathery labdanum with some animalic, kind of ashy note that hides underneath. The contrast is really striking. Bergamot and lemon will weaken with time, but throughout the wear of Le Lion, I can always notice freshness of lemon, taming and brightening thick ambery and leather-like labdanum. The opening smells to me like a big cat purring next to the lemon tree. This is animalic, smoky and leathery, but overall this is a tamed beast with no sharp teeth. And then in the dry down, citrus is subtle, never completely dissipating, and also that strong, sharp animalic note from the opening now dies down a bit. Like it's still there, but only softer. And what you get is ambery, resinous, smoky, leathery woods. It's not listed, but in the heart, there is also this floral element giving a sense of refinement. And next to it, I also get hints of vanilla and toasted caramel-like sweetness, but they always have a supporting role, adding a creamy softness to the smoky leather, powdery amber, and woody patchouli, infused with cool, clean musk in the final stage of Le Lion. So the dry down has a golden suede-like texture, and it smells like woody interior of the hunting lodge with leather chairs and animal furs, while lemon vanilla tea spread its scent in the air. I know some say this is a unisex fragrance, but for me, I think it's definitely masculine. It's not for everyone, and it has this grown-up, mature, you know what you want to feel. It's a colder weather fragrance as well, and because it has this refined quality, I would wear it only for black tie events, for date nights, for art shows, at jazz clubs, you know, for all evening events. It's not a safe blind buy because it's bold, it's carnal, it's animalistic, it's audacious. Even though Chanel meticulously tamed the notes and made them smell very warm, posh and classy. And I laughed a lot when I read one comment on Fragrantica which said that this is so classy that Le Lion smells like a manicured lion in a tweed. And it honestly has this classy edge, but it's lion nonetheless, so test it before you buy it. However, the performance is exceptional. I easily get 10 hours of wear with strong projection and sillage at first. That's why I will rate Le Lion with 9 out of 10. It's an amazing perfume that demands a lot of confidence to wear. Coco Chanel was fascinated by cosmos and astrology, so no wonder that projected also into her designs. And that's why the inspiration behind Comete was the comet-shaped necklace from the 1932 legendary Bijoux de Diamonds collection. The opening of Comete is powdery, but it has fresh, airy aldehydes similar to the scent like of dry champagne, but that champagne powderiness is intertwined with sweet, creamy heliotrope and a touch of cherry-like facets. Cherry blossoms give here a bitter cherry fruit nuance and a delicate, subtle pinkish presence in the background. Because of the aldehydes and that powdery note, Comete does give a sort of 80s or 90s salon effect, and it's just slightly sweet. So imagine almond, cherry Parisian macarons next to the dry champagne enveloped in the smoothest, pillowy, fluffy powder with an almost chalk-like texture. This is a powdery, sweet, creamy and floral scent, but with a touch of sparkle and slightly bitter nuance. In the dry down, that bright pink cherry hues dissipate, and now you're left with powdery, almondy heliotrope, cold iris, still noticeable aldehydes, and musk peeking from the base. As I said, iris here smells cold, like it has blue or silver nuances. It's velvety, grainy, not completely earthy in texture, but with a subtle makeup effect. However, powderiness in Comete isn't heavy. It manages to stay airy, fluffy, and weightless. So Comete smells like a combination of crystal champagne glass with almond macarons on top top of the fluffiest, powderiest rock. And in the base, the scent will get even softer, more beige-like and more cocooning. The scent truly matches the essence of a Comete because it starts with sparkling, bright hues of cherry blossom. Its central trail has silverish and bluish mix of iris and heliotrope, and then it finishes with the softest white musky stardust. Comete could be an all-year-round fragrance, but it would suit springtime and daytime occasions the most. It's polished, it's classy, it's sophisticated scent, but it's not overly groundbreaking. It reminds me of Flower by Cancer, and if you like that fragrance and you enjoy powdery almondy scents, I'm sure you will enjoy even more the timeless softness of Comete. On my skin, it lasts between 6 to 8 hours and for days on clothes, but the projection is quite soft. That's why I would rate it with 8.5 out of 10. This is a powdery, almondy, musky beauty with a touch of modern, but it still has undoubtedly classy Chanel, calm, old money-like, elegant, daydreaming vibe. Just as the name of the collection suggests, they are less exclusives, so they won't appeal to everyone. And here's my ranking, but just keep in mind that the ratings don't always show my personal favorites. As you know, I rate the scent and performance together. On the 5th place with 7.5 out of 10 is Gardenia. If you're a lover of white florals, yes, this is the one for you. But it has a really poor lasting power, and that is the reason why it's on the last place. Scent-wise, 10 out of 10, and it's one of my favorites, and also it's the perfect wedding fragrance for the brides-to-be. On the 4th place with 8 out of 10 are 3 fragrances. The first one is Beige, an effortlessly pretty, sweet, floral, casual fragrance for all floral lovers. Then we have Boy, the best unisex perfume out of these 8 and the most versatile one. It's clean and aromatic, but also powdery and feminine. And the third one is for the musk lovers. It's 9057. It is a soapy musk with fabric-like texture, and yes, it smells gorgeous. On the 3rd place with 8.5 out of 10, we have 2 fragrances. The first one is Sycomore. It's for all the guys who love vetiver and classy but outdoorsy, natural smelling woody fragrances. And the second one is Comete, the recent addition to this collection. It's for lovers of powdery, cocooning, iris dominant perfumes, but with an old Hollywood glamour vibe. And the second place with 9 out of 10 is Le Lion. It doesn't smell like a typical Chanel fragrance. Yes, there is this timeless, refined quality to it, but it's animalic, it's citrusy, it's ambery, woody, leathery goodness. So if you're a confident, mature guy and you're into lab denim, I'm sure you will love it for special occasions. So first, check it out. And you probably guessed it correct. The first place with 9.5 out of 10 goes to Coromandel. It's a patchouli bomb, but in the prettiest way possible. And the way Chanel sweetened the antique scent of damp wooden furniture with white chocolate and brightened it up with some citruses, it creates this multifaceted fragrance I just can't stop smelling. So for me, this is the magic in a bottle, and I truly love this one. Overall, this is a pricey but really good collection that stands in a sea of gourmands. Chanel offers sophisticated elegance and often delicate perfumes that defy passing of the time, so I'm sure many of these fragrances will be just as beautiful to people 20 years from now as they are currently to me. Which one is your favorite? Which one sounds the most interesting to you? Let me know in the comments, and if these reviews were helpful, descriptive, informative, and enjoyable, of course, let me know by booping the like button. If you want to be notified of other reviews I plan to upload, then subscribe for more. And here's another buying guide, so I will see you in that video. Until then, bye!